Always great catching up with my next guest. It's been a bit, but happy to be talking to Chris Camozzi, who is with PFL, and they're doing a lot of cool stuff behind the scenes with him. But first off, Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? It's been a minute since I've been on here.
Yes, I know. We were just talking about that off air. We've been doing interviews for a couple of years now. But first and foremost, PFL, how did this all come together with you signing with them? Because I know before that, obviously, doing the kickboxing thing with Glory.
Yeah, so I was looking to get back to MMA. I was signed with ACB out in Russia for a minute. And those $1 million tournaments are super enticing. And I like what PFL's doing. They're really like building guys. The tournament's exciting. I've always wanted to do more tournaments. So it just all seemed to fall in place and fit well. And my manager, Jim Walters, got me in with those guys. And here we are.
Congrats. I didn't even know we were with Jim either. That's great. I mentioned the Glory kickboxing and everything you got to do over there. You had a great run. You got to fight a lot of really tough opposition. How was the overall experience there? Because for those who don't know, basically when you left the UFC in 2017, it was all kickboxing. I know you had one MMA fight in between there, but it's mainly been in the kickboxing world.
Yeah, I actually had a couple of MMA fights, I think. But I'm still with Glory too. So PFL was they were really cool to work with. So getting into this tournament and everything, we were able to get in my contract that I could still fight for Glory as well. So I've got a couple years left with Glory still. They're just not traveling right now, so everything's been kind of stood still with COVID.
And of course, they're not traveling because of COVID-19. I know that's impacted everyone a little bit differently. I know your gym, Factory X, I know for a little bit there it was closed, but how's everything now with training and everything else?
It's good. Yeah, I've been training there, doing jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And then I also train at a gym called Brazilians Code. And right now I'm also at Landau Performance. I don't know if you can tell. I'm getting ready to do strength. Yeah. Getting ready to do strength and conditioning after this interview. So I've been staying busy, man. I've gotten way stronger. I'm in better shape now than I ever was even before COVID because all there was to do for so long was work out.
Awesome. And you talked a bit about it there, obviously, like, COVID-19. And you have a job, I know, sort of outside of fighting. What is it that you do right now? Let's see. How can I put it? I'm not allowed to say like a lot about it. I do security for a government defense contractor. That's as general as I need. Okay, well, that's cool. How did are you allowed to say how you got into that? Like, how does one get into that type of industry?
I guess not exactly. I've done executive protection work for years, or a couple years at least. So like bodyguard work, stuff like that, and just kind of who you know, and then background checks and bunch of hoops to jump through, and here I am.
Excellent. Well, I was going to ask you, financially, how's this been with not getting to fight right now? But obviously, if you got a day job, that sort of fills in the gaps there, so to speak. But at the time of recording this, we've got two of your teammates fighting on Saturday at the UFC Vegas 8 card. Anthony Smith, of course, in the main event. We also got Zach Cummins as well. How has it been getting to work with them leading into their fights?
Oh, it's great, man. I always love training with those guys. They're two of my really good friends. I've been friends with both of those guys for well before they were training at Factory X. So I'm always rooting for them. Every time they fight, I'm going nuts watching it on TV. I think both of them are going to do really well this weekend. I don't know when this is going to air, but I see them both winning this weekend. I think Anthony makes a title run. John Jones just left, and that title's wide open. So with a win tonight, I think he's right there in contention. There's a few top guys right now. I'd love to see him do like a tournament with those guys. Some PFL style tournament.
I love tournaments. I'm with you there. I don't know why they don't look into doing that a little bit more. And then another guy I know you've trained with a lot and is a close friend of yours, just got back in the UFC. Dustin Jacoby. How cool is that seeing him going and winning on Contender Series and getting the contract?
Man, it's awesome. Dustin's one of my best friends for sure. Him and I go hunting together. We do all kinds of stuff together. I hang out with him all the time. I was actually his last fight in the UFC.
I remember we talked about that in our interview. It was hilarious. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So it's awesome to see, even his age, man. It's been so long. I think it's been 10 years since he was in the UFC, and he's back, and he's not very old. He was on a tear kickboxing, and he's a whole nother fighter. I know people always say that, but we're talking about 10 years of training, and he's an elite striker. He's been striking with the best guys in the world. I think this is his time to shine, and we're really going to see him run up that division.
And it must be a bit nicer too, because I know initially he was looking at PFL, right, before Contender Series came calling. So now you guys don't have to worry about fighting each other again.
Yeah, right. We talked about that. We're both trying to get in PFL. Are we going to end up fighting again? at least it'd be for $1 million this time.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's always a plus. One other guy I wanted to bring up at your gym, who I've just been hearing everyone rave about, Cody Brundage. This guy's going to be on a Contender Series in a little bit. Anthony Smith was just talking about how great it is to work with a young, hungry guy like that, who I know just joined your team recently. Have you had a chance to work with him? And if so, what have you noticed?
I've rolled with him a little bit. Real strong kid. He's super technical. He seems great. I haven't sparred with him or done much drilling or anything like that, just jiu-jitsu, but he's solid, man. He's a good wrestler. I think he's going to do real well. I think he's ready for the UFC as well. Sometimes guys get in and they're not necessarily ready. That's the problem with, regional shows, Contender Series shows. It's like going from college to the NFL. It's a big jump. So some guys aren't always technically ready, but I think that kid's ready for sure.
All right, let's talk about PFL. Now, I know you saw my interview last week with Jordan Young, and he mentioned that you would be an interesting opponent to fight in his promotional debut. But then Jordan backtracked a little bit. I don't know if you saw that. He was saying, "Oh, well, I actually want to fight Tom Lawler." But you watched the tape, Chris. I mean, you saw it there. He said he wanted to fight you. So what did you think of that? I mean, it wasn't a disrespectful thing. It was more just like, he kind of knows that you're a big name, and that would be a fun fight. So what do you think of the 205-pound class at PFL? A lot of killers in there.
Yeah, I like the division, man. I did see that interview. I don't know if it was backtracking or what, but yeah, I was in. If he said he wanted to fight me first, perfect. I think I'm a bad style for him. My gas tank, I go forward too much for him. I think I match up well with all of these guys. I want to fight them all anyway, so it doesn't really matter for me who's first or who's last. They're all on the chopping block.
Is there any fighter that you've looked at on the roster like that would be a fun fight, or anything that interests you? Not calling anyone out, I want to be clear about that, but I'm sure you've had a glance at the roster and been like, hey, this would be a fun matchup.
Yeah, I don't even know if I've seen the full roster, but I know like Tom Lawler's in there. I know the Jordan kid, Emiliano Sordi, obviously he's been the champion. It's not COVID, by the way.
I know, I believe you.
Yeah, all of them are fun. I thought Sordi would be a fun fight too. I think that's a rough one. But definitely fun. I think both of our styles match up well, and that would be a fan favorite one for sure. But like I said, everybody's on the list because in that tournament style, you got to fight everybody.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great tournament once things get going again. I know they've been kind of keeping everyone in the loop as far as when you guys will actually get in there. But in the meantime, I know they've been doing this show, Prep Point. Jordan Young was featured last time. You're a part of it. How has that been, getting to know Chris Camozzi outside the cage?
It was fun. I'm glad they hit me up for it. Obviously we're not doing a ton of interviews right now because the fights haven't been too busy. I always enjoy doing interviews and talking to you guys. Like you said, you and I have talked for years. But yeah, it was fun. I feel like the questions were different. They were outside of MMA mostly. And I think it's a good way for PFL to expose the fighters coming up in the season to the fans. They obviously having to take this break, which is a bummer, but they're looking out for the fighters' safety, fan safety. So the fact that they're doing other things outside of that just shows that they care about the fighters. They're trying to push the promotion and get guys' names out there.
I don't know if they highlighted this on the show. Obviously, I'll be checking it out. But you're not just when it comes to inside the cage, you've obviously got your career intact, but outside the cage as well too. You've been sort of a businessman. I mean, this is something we've talked about, that you've really done a good job of making sure there's a life after fighting. Is winning that $1 million? What would that mean to you if you were to win the whole thing? What would you do with the money? I'm sure you've thought of it. We're not looking too far ahead here, but that's the reason you signed, is to potentially win that. What would that money mean to you? Oh,
I think about it all the time. That money. I'm smart with my money. I do smart things. You're not going to see me come out driving a new car and all this stuff. I'd probably pay off my house. I'd put money aside for my daughter's college, which is coming up. There's a lot of things. I'd invest it. I'd probably get another business going. I would look for ways to make my money make me money rather than just blow it all on dumb crap. So, it means a lot, and I think about it all the time. It can change a little bit, but my eyes are always focused on investing it in something that will last longer than that $1 million.
Was that something you just sort of figured out, or did you have anyone teach you about money early on? Because that's the one thing, I don't know why they don't teach it in high school, is like financial planning. Like they do a little bit, but really, saving money is such an important, not even saving, but just like investing and making sure your money is going in the right spots. I don't know why it's not more of a priority in schools.
I don't know. I've always been like that. Even as a kid, my mom would find money like hidden all over the place because I would do random things for money all the time, chores, whatever. And then I would always just hold on to it, save it, put it aside until I got something I wanted. I've always been good with it. And then over the years, I read a ton of books. I listen to a ton of podcasts. I have a lot of friends that are very smart. So I just take it all in, every aspect I can. I'll take advice and, process it through and try to learn and grow.
Well, we're looking forward to your debut, Chris, whenever that may be. In the meantime, we've got to check out Prep Point. It's coming up here very soon. But as always, I'll give you the last word here. Any social media you want to plug, any sponsors you want to mention, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it. I'm most active on Instagram, at Chris Camozzi, I think the number 7. I'd like to thank my longtime sponsors, Revivid Sports, CBD. Those guys have been with me a long time. They're one of the companies that is third-party tested, so it's great for us athletes, and that's what keeps me going and healthy. And then Koios Beverage, they're huge for me. Big supporters. I've been with them a really long time. You can find their stuff on Amazon, Walmart, GNC, all over the place, man. They're big. Those are 2 really big supporters of mine, and I always like to thank them. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Jim, my manager, for getting me in PFL. And thank you to the PFL. I'm looking forward to this season. I can't wait. This long layoff is making me so anxious to get in there.